The call didn't come from a medical professional. It came from Mrs. Evelyn Gable, a 72-year-old grandmother at the end of a cul-de-sac in Moreno Valley. On July 12, 2025, during a record-breaking heat wave that saw the pavement reaching 140 degrees, Mrs. Gable went to her front porch to collect a package. She found a white delivery van idling at the curb. The door was wide open. The engine was screaming in park. And inside, slumped over the steering wheel with his handheld scanner still clutched in a white-knuckled grip, was Xavier Baptiste. Mrs. Gable told the emergency operators that when she touched his arm, it felt like touching a stovetop. She said his eyes were open, but they weren't looking at the dashboard. They were looking through it. For 19 minutes, first responders and then the trauma team at County General fought a losing battle against a core temperature that had reached a point where human proteins begin to unspool. By all clinical definitions, the manifest for Xavier Baptiste's life was closed. But as the doctors were preparing the paperwork to mark the time of death, Xavier did something that shouldn't have been biologically possible. He didn't just wake up. He started talking about a route he hadn't finished.
Look, I gotta get this out. I can't slow down because if I slow down, the details start to blur. It's like when the GPS loses signal and you're just driving on momentum, hoping you don't miss the turn. I'm Xavier. I'm 20. I was supposed to be at the prime of my life, right? That's what they tell you. But when you're pulling 60 hours a week in a van that's basically a microwave on wheels, you don't feel 20, you feel 100. It was July 12. Last year, 2025. The heat wasn't just weather that day. It was an enemy. It was heavy. It felt like I was breathing in liquid lead. I remember looking at my scanner, the screen was glitching. Every time I tried to swipe a delivery, the pixels would they'd melt. I was behind. I'm always behind. My ETA was flashing red. Red means you're failing. Red means you're losing money. I remember the last drop-off, a cul-de-sac, Mrs. Gable. I reached for the box. It was a heavy one, maybe a blender or something, and then the world it didn't go black. It went white, but not a good white. It was the white of a screen that's too bright in a dark room. It burned. Wait, I'm skipping. I need to tell you about the scanner. When I felt my heart stop, and I did feel it, it was like a package falling off a shelf, just a dull thud and then nothing. I wasn't in the van anymore. I was above it. I saw the top of the van. It was dirty. I never noticed how much dust was on the roof. I saw Mrs. Gable walking down her driveway. I tried to yell. I tried to say, hey, I didn't scan the package yet. It's going to count against my metrics. But she couldn't hear me. Nobody could hear me. I was floating, but I wasn't light. I felt heavy with all the things I hadn't finished. All the routes, all the shifts.
Medical records from County General confirm that Xavier Baptiste was admitted with a core body temperature of 107.4 degrees. In cases of exertional heat stroke, once the temperature crosses 106, the brain's thermoregulatory center fails. This leads to what is known as a cytokine storm, where the body begins to attack its own organs. The 19 minutes Xavier spent in a state of clinical death isn't just a statistical anomaly, it is a physiological impossibility. At that temperature, the brain is not supposed to retain enough structural integrity to form a coherent memory, let alone a hyper-specific vision of the physical world around him.
And then the pull started. It wasn't a tunnel. Forget the tunnel. It was a route. It was like I was being pulled through the fiber optic cables themselves. I saw the world, not the trees and the roads. I saw the data. Everything was pulsing. Every house had these glowing veins coming out of it, and they were all flowing toward one place. I found myself standing in what I can only call the hub. If you've ever seen a sorting facility at 3 a.m, you know what I'm talking about. It's loud, it's massive, it's endless. But this hub wasn't sorting boxes, it was sorting souls. And I wasn't alone. He was standing there. I expected, I don't know, a guy in a robe, a painting from a church. No, he was the source. He looked like he could. He was made of the very light that makes things grow, but he was also solid. He was wearing something simple like a work shirt, but it glowed. And he was looking at a screen. Not a screen like we have. It was the air itself. Xavier, he's vet, his voice, man, it didn't go into my ears, it went into my chest. It felt like the vibration of a heavy engine when it finally turns over after a cold night. It was the most beautiful sound I've ever heard, but it also made me want to drop to my knees and never get up. "You're early," he said, "but you're not here to stay. You're here to see the manifest." I looked at what he was showing me. I'm a delivery guy. I know how to read a map. I know how to read a manifest, but this was the logistics of human attention.
In recent years, the term attention economy has moved from marketing jargon to a field of serious neurological study. Research from the University of California, Irvine, suggests that the average person now switches tasks on a digital device every 47 seconds. We are no longer just users of technology, we are the fuel for it. Xavier's description of the logistics of human attention aligns with the emerging scientific understanding that our focus is a finite, measurable resource that is being systematically harvested by algorithmic structures.
"Look at the routes," Jesus said. I looked. I saw billions of people. They were all holding these little glowing bricks, their phones, and from every phone there was this black, sticky thread. It looked like oil. It was coming out of the screen and wrapping around their eyes, around their hands, around their hearts. I saw a girl, maybe 16. She was in her bedroom. She was scrolling. Every time she swiped, one of those black threads would tighten. She was looking for something. I could see her heart. It was like a package that had been crushed in transit. Empty. She was looking for a like to fill it. She was looking for a comment to tell her she was worth the delivery. But the threads wouldn't let the light in, Jesus told me. I looked at him. I said, "Is this what I was doing? I was delivering these phones? I was helping build this." He didn't get mad. He didn't yell. He just looked sad. The kind of sad you feel when you see a beautiful thing get broken for no reason. "You thought you were connecting to them," he said, "but you were just helping them build a prison they could carry in their pockets." I started to shake. I'm 20, man. I just wanted a paycheck. I just wanted to get through my shift so I could go home and scroll through my own phone. And that's when I realized I was wrapped in those threads too. Even there in the hub, I could feel the pull of the apps I'd left behind. It was an addiction, but it wasn't just a chemical thing. It was a spiritual one. Look closer at the sorting, Xavier. Look at what's really being delivered. I looked back at the air, at the infinite screens, and that's when I saw the ghost dispatchers. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to tell you about the sound first. The sound in the hub wasn't quiet, it was a hum, like a million servers running at once. But underneath the hum, there was a crying. It was the sound of a generation that had forgotten how to be still. I saw people in churches. I saw people in their cars. I saw people laying in bed next to the person they loved. And they were all absent. Their bodies were there, but their souls were being routed somewhere else. They were being delivered to these digital destinations that didn't even exist. It's a counterfeit, Jesus said. The enemy can't create a new route. He can only hijack the ones I made for love. He takes their need for me and he routes it to a screen. He takes their need for community and he routes it to a comment section. And the more they scroll, the more they starve. I looked at my hands. In the light of the hub, I could see my own metrics. All the hours I'd spent staring at a screen instead of looking at the sky. All the times I'd ignored a real person because I was waiting for a notification. I felt sick. It was worse than the heat stroke. It was like realizing I'd been delivering poison and calling it medicine. "How do we stop it?" I asked. I was desperate. I felt like I was still on the clock, like the ETA was counting down to zero, and I had to fix the whole world before the van caught fire. Jesus touched my shoulder. His hand, it wasn't just warm, it was real. Everything else I'd ever touched felt like a shadow compared to him. You can't stop the system, Xavier. It's been built over a long time, but you can show them how to unplug. You can tell them that the master manifest has a different destination for them. And then the screen in the air changed. The hub started to shift. It wasn't just a sorting facility anymore. It was becoming something else, something older, something that made the hair on my arms stand up. He showed me the terminal. And man, I don't know if I'm ready to talk about the terminal yet. My chest is getting tight again. It's like the heat is coming back. I need a second. I need to make sure you're hearing me. This isn't a story. This is the log. This is the record. I'm back. I needed to catch my breath. It feels like I'm still running against the clock. Like, if I don't finish this statement, The manifest is going to close and the truth is going to be stuck in the warehouse forever. Jesus was still there. He didn't move, but the hub around us started to peel back. You know how when you're driving through a bad neighborhood and you see the people standing on the corners just watching, the ones who aren't buying or selling, they're just managing the flow. I saw them. The ghost dispatchers. They weren't human. I don't have a better word for them than shadows, but they had shape. They were hunched over these massive invisible consoles that were layered right on top of the real world. I saw one standing over a guy in an office. The guy was stressed. He was looking at a news site, and this entity, it was like it was typing directly into the guy's brain. It wasn't using words, it was using cargo. Every time the guy scrolled, the shadow would reach into a pile of black, jagged shapes, anger, envy, pure, uncut fear, and it would just slide them into the guy's feed. It was like a logistics chain for misery. The shadow wasn't even looking at the guy. It was looking at a dashboard. It was watching the guy's heart rate go up. It was watching his breathing get shallow. He's hitting his targets, Jesus said. I looked at Jesus. He looked pained, like he was watching someone sabotage his own fleet. Target for what? I asked. My voice felt like it was cracking. What are they delivering? Isolation, Jesus said. The more they consume, the less they feel. The less they feel, the more they need the screen to tell them they're alive. It's a closed loop, Xavier, a deadhead route. No matter how far they drive, they never bring anything back.
There is a massive theological tension in what Xavier is describing. For the believer, the idea of spiritual warfare is often framed as a personal battle of the will. But this vision suggests something more systemic, a spiritual infrastructure that mirrors our own digital architecture. It challenges the traditional view of temptation as a whisper. Instead, it presents it as a logistical certainty. If the ghost dispatchers are managing the flow, the question isn't whether a person is strong enough to resist, but whether they are even aware they are being routed. For the skeptic, this could be interpreted as the brain's way of personifying the impersonal nature of algorithms, which are designed to maximize engagement at any cost. But for Xavier, the cargo was real.
I saw another one. This dispatcher was working on a group of kids. They were all sitting in a circle, but none of them were looking at each other. They were all looking at their phones. The shadow was weaving those black threads I saw earlier, tying their hands together in a way that kept them from reaching out to each other. It was a backhaul of pride. That's what it was. Every photo they posted, every story they shared, it was just a way to build a wall. They thought they were being seen, but they were actually being hidden. Can't you just shut it down? I asked. I was getting angry now. I'm a driver. If I see a bridge out, I call it in. I stop the traffic. You're the boss. Just pull the plug on the whole facility. Jesus looked at me, and for a second, the hub went quiet. The machines, the shadows, the crying, it all just stopped. I gave them the keys, Xavier, he said. I gave them the freedom to choose their own routes. If I pull the plug on their hearts too. I won't force a delivery they haven't ordered. I didn't get it. I still don't think I fully get it. I just wanted it to stop. I looked back at the air, searching for a way out, and that's when I saw the lock drop off.
Notice the shift in Xavier's tone here. He is no longer just a witness. He is a frustrated professional. His urgent and pressured state is colliding with his identity as a delivery driver. In his world, a problem has a solution. You fix the route, you report the hazard, you finish the job. His demand that Jesus pull the plug reveals a psychological desperation to regain control. When his reality became unmanageable in the heat of July 2025, his brain didn't just see a vision of peace. It saw a vision of a broken system that he, as a low-level worker, was powerless to repair. This friction between his smallness and the scale of the hub is where the trauma of his near-death experience truly lives.
We were standing in front of a house. It looked normal. Small lawn, white siding, but the windows were dark. Inside, in a basement room, there was a guy. He looked about my age, maybe a little older. He was staring at a screen. It was the only light in the room. His face was gray. He looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. I looked at the logistics around him. It was a mess. There were thousands of packages piled up in the spiritual space around him. Comfort, peace, purpose, love, all marked undeliverable. Why? I asked. Why can't he get them? Look at his hands, Jesus said. The guy was holding his phone so tight his knuckles were white. He was waiting. You could see the ghost notifications hitting him. Every few seconds, his brain would spark like a short circuit. He thought he felt a vibration. He'd check the screen. Nothing. He'd swipe. Nothing. He was in a recursive loop. He couldn't receive the real delivery because his loading dock was full of junk. He's waiting for a message that isn't coming, Jesus said. He's waiting for the world to tell him he's okay. But the world only knows how to send him more of what he already has. More emptiness. More noise. I tried to reach out. I thought if I can just tap on the window, if I can just tell him, hey man, look up. The master is right here. But my hand just went through the glass. It was like I was a dead signal. He's gonna die in there, I whispered. I felt the heat again, the same heat from the van. It was starting to bubble up in my throat. He's gonna run out of time and he's never gonna finish his route. Jesus put his hand over mine. He isn't locked from the outside, Xavier. He's locked from the inside. He's the only one who can sign for the package. The guy in the room suddenly looked at the screen and started crying. Not a good cry. A hard, jagged cry. He started typing. He was posting something. I could see the cargo he was sending out. It was a cry for help, but he was sending it to the very shadows that were feeding on him. The ghost dispatchers were literally laughing. I could hear it. It sounded like static. It sounded like the way the radio sounds when you're driving between mountains and you can't get a clear station. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned to Jesus and I grabbed his arm. I shouldn't have done that. You don't just grab the creator of the universe, but I was 20 and I was dying and I was out of time. Show me the end, I yelled. Show me where this route goes. If it's all broken, why are we even here? Jesus didn't pull away. He just looked at me with those eyes. Man, those eyes. They weren't just looking at me. They were looking through my whole life, my whole manifest. You want to see the terminal? He asked. I nodded. I didn't know what I was asking for. I thought it was just the last stop. I thought it was where the shift ended and I could finally go home. The light in the hub started to turn a deep, bruised purple. The sound of the servers changed. It got deeper, more mechanical. We weren't in a sorting facility anymore. We were standing at the edge of the world, and I saw the tower. It wasn't made of brick. It was made of glass and light and trillions of miles of data. It was beautiful, and it was the scariest thing I've ever seen. That's the new Babel, Jesus said. I can't talk about the tower yet. Every time I think about it, I feel the scanner in my hand. It's starting to burn. My palm, look, you can see it. It's red. It's always red now. I need to tell you about the mark. Not the one you think. The real one, the one that's already on us. I need to stop. Just for a minute. The ETA is getting closer. I can feel the nurses. I can feel the needles. I'm almost back, but I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Wait. The beep. I can hear the hospital beep. It's syncing up with the pulse in the hub. I'm flickering. I need to tell you about the terminal before the signal drops. I was standing there at the base of that tower, that new Babel, and it wasn't just a building. It was an intake. Imagine a warehouse that never ends. A warehouse where the floor is made of billions of glass tiles, and every tile is a screen. Every screen is a life. And they were all tilted up, glowing, feeding the tower. Jesus was walking with me. He didn't look like he belonged in a place this cold and mechanical, but he was the only thing that felt solid. He pointed up. See the first and last miles, Xavier? He said. I'm a driver. I know the first and last miles are the most important part of any route. It's where the delivery starts. It's where it ends. I looked at the tiles. I saw people waking up. The very first thing they did, before they even breathed a prayer, before they even looked at the person next to them, was reach for the glow. They were giving their first mile to the tower. And at night, when the day was done, the last thing they saw wasn't the stars or the face of a child. It was the screen, the last mile. They're offering it up, Jesus said. They think they're just checking the news. They think they're just staying connected. But they're building an altar. I saw the spiritual weight of it. It looked like smoke, a dark digital incense rising up from all those screens, feeding into the terminal. It was a trade. They were giving away their silence, their peace, their very ability to hear a voice that wasn't synthetic. What are they getting back? I asked. I looked at the returns bin. It was full of junk. anxiety, feeling like you're never enough, comparing your messy, real-world route to someone else's filtered, fake delivery. Just
The historical ziggurat of Babylon was not merely a physical structure. It was a centralized system of spiritual and political administration. In Genesis 11, the builder's goal was to make a name for ourselves. Modern digital infrastructure, the cloud, is effectively a decentralized ziggurat. Data centers like the one in Printerville, Oregon, or the massive NSA facility in Bluffdale, Utah, act as the new administrative hubs of human existence. These facilities process zettabytes of human incense, our desires, our fears, and our daily habits. Xavier's vision of the first and last miles being redirected is an apt logistical metaphor for what researchers call digital decolonization, the effort to reclaim human attention from centralized algorithmic control.
Then the tower, it started to breathe. It wasn't just collecting data, it was calculating. I saw the master manifest. It was this infinite stream of code, but I could read it. It was like I was back in the van looking at my route for the day, but the route was for every soul on earth. And every soul had a risk score. Jesus showed me a man in a country I didn't recognize. The man was reading a Bible on his phone. Immediately, the manifest changed. A red flag appeared next to his name. The tower saw it. The ghost dispatchers I told you about, they swarmed. They started routing errors to his life, financial glitches, travel bans, social delivery failures. They're building the infrastructure for the final audit, Jesus said. I looked at my own palm, the red mark, the one from the scanner. It was pulsing. I realized what it was. It wasn't a mark of ownership. It was a mark of connection. We've built a world where you can't buy, sell, or even exist without being synced to the hub. Is this the mark? I whispered. I felt a chill that even the July heat couldn't touch. The one from the book? Jesus looked at the tower. The mark is a choice, Xavier, but they've made the choice so easy that most people won't even know they've made it. They'll choose convenience over me. They'll choose the easy drop-off over the narrow road. The system is ready. All it needs is the final signature.
The integration of biometric data and social credit is no longer speculative. In 2023, the World Economic Forum highlighted the transition toward digital identity as a prerequisite for participation in the global economy. Systems like China's social credit system or the emerging Know Your Customer, KYC, digital protocols in the West are creating a manifest where a person's score dictates their access to basic services. Xavier's description of financial glitches and social delivery failures aligns with documented cases of debanking and digital censorship that utilize algorithmic triggers rather than human oversight.
I started to panic. I felt like I was back in the cul-de-sac. I could smell the hot plastic of the van's dashboard. I could feel the sweat stinging my eyes. I looked at the manifest and I saw millions of names being filtered out. I can't finish this route, I screamed at the tower. I felt so small. I'm just a kid from the IE. I'm 20 years old. I don't know how to fight a tower made of light and lies. There's too many. The ETA is 0. We're failing. Jesus grabbed my shoulders. He forced me to look away from the screens. He forced me to look at him. You aren't the dispatcher, Xavier. You're just the witness. He showed me a different manifest. It was small. It wasn't glowing with digital light. It looked like it was written in ink, or maybe blood. These are the ones who didn't sync, he said. I saw them. They were the ones I'd seen earlier. The people who started their day in the quiet. The people who chose to look at a neighbor instead of a screen. They were invisible to the tower. The ghost dispatchers couldn't find them because they weren't on the route. They were off the grid. Not the physical grid, the spiritual one. They found the silence, Jesus said. And in the silence, they can hear my voice. That's the only way through the terminal. Suddenly, the tower began to shake. Not like an earthquake, like a server crashing. The purple light turned a violent, flickering gray. Xavier, he said, the shift is ending. You have to go back. No, I grabbed his work shirt. I don't want to go back to the heat. I don't want to go back to the van. If I go back, I'll just get synced again. I'll lose the frequency. You have the mark now, he said, looking at my hand. Not their mark, mine. It's the burn of the truth. Use it to keep your signal clear. The heat started to roar in my ears. I saw Mrs. Gable's house again. I saw the white van, but it was far away, like I was looking through the wrong end of a telescope. I'm losing it. The chronology is, it's breaking. I'm in the ICU and I'm in the hub at the same time. I can feel the tape on my arm where the IV is. I can feel the cold air of the hospital room. I need to tell you one more thing. About the cargo. He told me, wait, the doctor's coming in. I can see the clipboard. 19 minutes. They're saying 19 minutes. But I was there for a lifetime. I'm almost out of time. I'm not finished. The route, the beep. It's winning. The hospital sound is getting louder than the hub. I can feel the weight of the air again. It's thick. It's heavy. It's that July heat, man. It's waiting for me like a shift I can't call out of. Jesus was still holding my shoulders. Everything around us was dissolving into that flickering gray static, but his face was the only clear pixel in the universe. I can't do it, I told him. I can't go back to the route. I'm just gonna fail. I'm gonna get swallowed by the tower. He didn't give me a map. He didn't give me a list of instructions. He just leaned in close, and for a second, the server noise stopped. The route isn't the van, Xavier, he said. The route is the stillness. I didn't get it. I was looking for a workaround, a cheat code, some way to bypass the ghost dispatchers. I wanted him to tell me how to save the world, but he was just looking at me. Just Xavier. Stay off the grid, he said. Not the one they built, the one I made. If you can't find me in the silence, you won't find me at all. I felt a pull. It wasn't like floating anymore. It was like being yanked by a tow truck. My chest, it felt like someone was standing on it. I could hear the doctors now, not the words, just the panic, the frequency of a code blue. Don't let them sink you, Xavier, Jesus said. His voice was the last thing. It was fading like a radio station when you drive too far into the canyon. Keep the burn. And then, slam. I wasn't in the hub. I wasn't at the tower. I was on a table. It was cold. So cold it felt like it was burning. I tried to gasp, but there was a tube. I tried to move my hands, but they were heavy as lead pipes. I heard a woman's voice. She was screaming. Not in pain, in shock. He's back. We have a rhythm. Get the cooling blankets. He's still cooking.
The medical summary from Xavier Baptiste's stay at County General contains a detail that defies standard emergency medicine. When a patient's core temperature reaches 107.4 degrees, the recovery period, if they survive at all, is measured in weeks of intensive care and often involves permanent neurological deficits or organ failure. Xavier was clinically dead for 19 minutes. According to the Journal of the American Medical Association, neurological recovery after a 10-minute flatline without immediate CPR is less than 1%. Yet, Xavier was not only conscious within 48 hours, but his liver and kidney function, the first systems to fail in heat stroke, showed zero signs of the anticipated cytokine damage. The lead attending physician noted in the discharge summary that the patient's recovery was, quote, discordant with known physiological limits.
I spent 3 weeks in that bed. They kept asking me if I knew where I was. They kept asking me if I knew my name. I knew my name. I knew the date. But I didn't know how to tell them that the room was full of noise. Not the hospital noise. The other noise. I looked at my phone. It was sitting on the nightstand. The nurses had put it there. It looked small. It looked like a toy. But when I looked at it, I could see the black threads. I could see the way the light from the screen was trying to reach out and hook into my eyes. I haven't turned it on. Not once. The doctors, they think I have some kind of post-traumatic thing, a phobia of technology because of the scanner. But they don't see what I see. I remember the day I got out. I walked into the sunlight, and for the first time in my life, I didn't reach for my pocket. I just stood there. I looked at a tree. I looked at the way the light hit the leaves. It was a delivery, a real one. I don't drive for the company anymore. I can't. Every time I see a white van, my heart starts to skip like it's trying to find that old broken rhythm. I work in a nursery now. Plants, things that grow slow, things that don't have an ETA. But there's one thing I can't explain away. In the ICU, the doctors found a mark on my right palm. They called it a contact burn. They figured when I collapsed, I must have been holding the scanner and the heat from the battery fried my skin. But I checked the logs. I've seen the photos Mrs. Gable took. The scanner was found on the floor of the van. It never touched my hand after I fell. And the mark, it isn't a blister. It isn't a scar. It's a shape. If you look at it under a certain light, it looks like a thumbprint, but it's too big, and it's always warm. Not hot like the July sun, just warm, like someone is still holding my hand, making sure I don't drift back onto the wrong route. I'm sitting here now, and I can hear the world outside. I can hear the sirens and the traffic. I can hear the hum of the city. Everyone is rushing. Everyone is checking their metrics. Everyone is trying to finish a shift that never ends. I'm just staying still. I'm looking at the mark on my hand. It's not fading. If anything, it's getting clearer. It's the only thing that feels real in a world made of pixels. I'm sitting here with the manifest open. No next steps, no more deliveries, just the silence. It's the only way I can still hear him.
The discharge summary from County General, case number 8821-V, includes a high-resolution thermal scan taken of Xavier Baptiste's right hand 48 hours after his admission. The image shows a localized heat signature in the center of the palm that measured 3 degrees higher than the surrounding tissue. This thermal anomaly persisted for the duration of his hospital stay. Despite multiple examinations, there was no evidence of infection, inflammation, or subcutaneous injury to account for the localized temperature elevation. This detail creates a specific tension for someone like Dr. Eris Thorne, a specialist in thermal trauma and forensic pathology. For a burn to leave a permanent thermal imprint without damaging the epidermis or causing a standard scarring response, the energy source would have to be internal rather than external. In the physics of human biology, there is no mechanism for a hand to maintain a localized, elevated temperature in a specific, unchanging shape for months on end. Dr. Thorne has not commented on the case, but the silence from the forensic team at County General regarding the thumbprint anomaly remains the most significant entry in the file. Xavier Baptiste sits on a wooden bench in a quiet corner of the Moreno Valley nursery, his right hand resting open on his knee, the warm skin of his palm pressed against the rough grain of the cedar.